Hello world, it's Saturday the 9th of January 2016 and this is my look at Mars over 2016. Normally I wouldn't bother doing a video on Mars because it moves so fast. It normally takes perhaps 6 to 8 weeks to zip its way through a sign, and over the course of a year Mars can be expected to go through anywhere from 5 to 8 signs of the zodiac, so it's actually not that big a deal. However, this year is different. There is a massive Mars retrograde coming up. There will be a 6-month Mars retrograde shadow period. Mars will move into its retrograde shadow phase around the middle of February. It will stand still and start going retrograde. Let's get it right actually. It will move into its retrograde phase in mid-February around 24 degrees of Scorpio, then continue moving forward into Sagittarius, and it will stand still in mid-April at 8 degrees of Sagittarius before going retrograde. It will then go retrograde for about 10 weeks until the end of June, when it will stand still at 24 degrees of Scorpio before moving forward again and clearing 8 degrees of Sagittarius by about August the 18th, 19th. During this time, Mars will not hit Pluto, Uranus, Neptune or Saturn, not during its retrograde phase. The only aspects it will make, there will be a full moon conjunct retrograde Mars. That will be interesting. That will happen at the period around, I'm not sure of the actual dates, but around the very end of Taurus, the very start of Gemini, around about May the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, something like that. Mars retrograde will oppose the Sun, Mercury, Venus, but no big deal. It is the position of Mars retrograde that's interesting. It's going to particularly affect those Taurians and Scorpios born in the last week of their month, i.e. those Scorpios born from perhaps November the 14th, 15th, 16th onwards, and those Taurians born from May 15th, 16th, 17th onwards. And these people are likely to find that the period of early or mid-February through to perhaps early July can be quite frustrating and irritating. For all of you, look at the position of late Scorpio and late Taurus in your horoscope, see what houses it affects, and know that this is where you can expect a degree of physical irritation and frustration. Mars will also be affecting those people born in the first 7 or 8 days of Sagittarius and Gemini. So those Geminis born in May and those Sagittarians born in November. Mars is going to be standing still on or opposite your Sun as well over the period of perhaps March through to July, through to August even. So here again you're going to be finding initially a great deal of frustration and impatience, followed by the call to be more specific about your action. As Mars goes forward into its retrograde shadow, from perhaps February the 18th until it stops moving forwards around the middle of April, there's going to be a lot of energy out there in the world. It's working in Scorpio initially and then in Sagittarius, so issues around, first of all, transparency, trust, truth, clarity, openness and secrets and lies coming up. With then Mars in Sagittarius, it'll be all to do with religion, philosophy and belief. Then Mars will go retrograde and a lot of the actions will die down, and instead we'll go into a period of retrospect and reassessment around mid-April through to late June, where a lot of reevaluation will be taking place. From July onwards through to perhaps the start of August, during July Mars will be moving forward in late Scorpio, and I do expect a number of secrets, a number of things to come up out of the undergrowth, out from the underworld during this time. And then in August, when Mars moves into Sagittarius, a lot of stuff around religion will once again come to the surface. There will be a lot of exposure of some of the corrupt practices involved in religion across the board, and there will be developments. I note with interest that as Mars leaves its retrograde shadow period around August the 18th, 19th, at the same time it conjuncts Saturn and squares Neptune. So I am fingering the middle 10 days of August as a time of sudden upheaval in the world and a lot of issues around transparency, truth and lies. in things to do with philosophy, belief and religion coming up, with a lot of obscuring of information, or attempts of obscuring of information. We shall see. This Mars once Mars has cleared its retrograde shadow by the end of August, it then proceeds into fresh territory, the end of Sagittarius, and then into Capricorn, where it will conjunct Pluto in mid-October for 10 days, and the middle 10 days of October are particularly Martian time, and I do expect some type of explosive action or behaviour around perhaps the third week of October as Mars conjuncts Pluto. Then Mars moves from Capricorn into Aquarius, and at the end of the year Mars will move into Pisces, and indeed on the 1st of January 2017 Mars will conjunct Neptune, but we'll deal with that one another time. Mars is going to spend most of this year in Scorpio or Sagittarius in its retrograde phase, and it is going to be calling to account a lot of people who have not been totally transparent or in other ways economical with the truth. I do expect a number of revelations to come up from the period of mid-August through to late June whilst Mars is retrograde, with further actions, subsequent actions during July and early August. Part of me is looking forward to it. It's not really hitting my chart that hard. I'm grateful. But for those of you who Mars retrograde is affecting, particularly those people born from November the 14th to the last 2 weeks of November, the last 2 weeks of May, be ready, folks. Your buttons are going to get pushed this year, and you'll need to be on top of your game, and you'll need to learn the difference between being projective and assertive without being confrontational and aggressive. Know when your buttons are getting pushed, and be wise and astute enough to know when to smile at people and walk away rather than get into a fight. Because if you get into a fight, you may win, but then you'll make enemies for life. And if you lose, you'll lose big time. Far better to hold your own power inside and be strong in yourself rather than just demonstrating to the world how strong you are. Mars retrograde this year. Interesting. Okay, catch you later, folks. Bye.